Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the May episode of the Broker Breakdown. Today, we have a very special guest, a new guest, a part of a team that I actually already had their owner on a few months ago. But again, I made a good relationship with this person, and I wanted them to come on. Our conversations have been great, and I loved filming that teaser video we did a few weeks back for this episode. So, welcome, Roland Ross.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, James. No,
No worries.
It's great to actually be here, and I know we chatted about it a month back, and I told you it would be my first podcast ever. So, bear with me if I'm a little nervous.
Get the jitters out.
But no, I appreciate you having me on. For those of you who don't know, I'm Roland. My name's Roland. I go by the Hallmark Realtor on Instagram. I'm a part of the Zahnd team in Guelph, and I've been in real estate for a couple of years now. So
Nice.
I mainly deal in the Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo areas, but obviously that's not limited. So all over the map.
Well, I'm going to start off right away because I know we chatted about this a few weeks ago, but we never actually got the story of it. So where does the Hallmark Realtor come from?
Yeah. So I wish I could tell you it was a very deep story, but it's not. It was more of a, every realtor has, their Instagram profile that's Roland Realtor, Roland Ross _realtor was what it was for a long time, or Roland Ross Real Estate. But it happened actually around Christmas time, hence Hallmark. And I was chatting with one of my buddies, and he goes, you really do look like a pretty stock profile photo of a Hallmark realtor from the movies. And I'm like, there's no way that you just did that. Like, you just completely put me in a box. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of funny, because when people think of Hallmark, they think of family, homey vibes, right? And I was telling our social media girl, Georgia, about the joke, and how he made fun of me slightly for being a very standard white guy. So she goes, you should do that. Like, change your social to the Hallmark Realtor and see how it plays out. And I toyed with the idea for a couple of weeks, officially changed it. And then the feedback I got was awesome. I had a bunch of people commenting, going, that's amazing. Like, I didn't even know it, like, that you could be named something like that. That's awesome. I had one buddy comment and go, when I think of Hallmark, I think of spending money on a house. So I'm like, well, that's good, because that's what real estate is.
That's what I do.
So now it's kind of become my brand, and I try to put out content that is informative, educational, and also kind of fun too, because there's a lot of people that take real estate really, really seriously on social media, and you can have fun with it too. It's not that serious of a thing. It's like anything else, right? So
yeah, I think it's like the same with us too, right? Like, I don't think anyone, when we started the podcast a few years back, there was kind of this gap in the market that no one was kind of doing it. And again, insurance is kind of one of those things. It's pretty cut and dry. Like, it's not like the most interesting thing. So I always try to put a little bit of a twist of my own kind of personality. I want to have fun. I want to be more laid back. I don't want to be, the guy wearing a corporate suit all the time and, sitting in an office and doing all that kind of stuff. So I tried to want to be a little bit more, like your picture behind you says, think outside the box. And that's kind of what we did with the podcast. So it's, you always have to kind of give your personal touch to it, right? It's never, one formula is not going to work for everyone. But again, if you can take little pieces of success from other people and kind of, put your own little twist on it, I think that's super important when you're doing any kind of branding whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, it was something fun that I wanted to do that was different, right? And that's like, it's on all my business cards now. And whenever I have a client follows me, they go, the Hallmark Realtor. And I'm like, yeah, isn't it great? And they all love it, which is ideal, because that's what we want from branding. Plus, it takes my name out of it too. So if I ever wanted to expand or do anything along those lines, it would just be a brand name. It wouldn't be tied to me at all. It would all just be its own separate thing, which is awesome.
But it gets people remembering you, right? Which is super important. It's not just your name, like you said. There's a brand behind it. And people go, oh, like, I remember that. Like, I remember talking to that person, right? So I think that's super important, especially in real estate and realistically any sales job where there's, again, 20,000 people waiting at the door to have a client like that, right? So if you can differentiate yourself and, make sure that people remember you, I think that's already 10 times more than what anyone else is really doing, right? So,
Yeah, it pays to be top of mind.
yep,
I know it's probably similar in the insurance side of things, but if you're not top of mind, you're not going to even get thought of, right?
exactly.
So,
That's the whole thing. You got to be on top of mind. Like, if you're not, for me, like, again, I similar as you. I'm always on social media. Like, I'm posting all the time about educational stuff, personal stuff as well. I find the personal stuff actually is more beneficial to a lot of people. I find I actually get a lot more engagement from it because it shows that, hey, like, I'm a real person, right? I'm not just an insurance broker and just talking about insurance all day, right? Like, for me, like, we post a lot about the charity event that I have going, and that's a big driver. I post a lot about the podcast. Again, not really, it is insurance based, but it also isn't, right? We're not just sitting here talking about, oh, look at your coverages, oh, look at this and that, right? So, again, I do have a lot of insurance education on there and stuff about insurance, but I also like to kind of cut it back and go, like, let's not make this all about insurance. Let's, change things up a little bit, and so that people are like, oh, this person's actually like a real person, not just a robot posting about insurance or real estate or selling cars, right? There's actually a person behind like the actual account.
yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that I saw from your Instagram when we first met back in October of
Yep.
2023. I looked up your Instagram immediately after you left, and I was like, this guy's like, he's a real person. It's not,
Yep.
you can tell that you put care and effort into your profile, and it shows. Like, that was something that I was like, gotta just start not mimicking, but like taking that into consideration, because a lot of realtors just have the standard stock team
Yeah.
profiles, and all that stuff gets posted, and it's not personalized. You were one of the first people that I saw like take the insurance side of it and apply a personal touch to it, which is awesome. And especially with the charity event, like, I know the golf charity event that you put on is awesome, and I'm really looking forward to actually going this year and seeing all that hard work that you actually put into it come to fruition. So I'm super pumped about that too.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that because, again, it's a lot of work, but again, like, from my perspective of things, like, I obviously, you can schedule things in posts and stuff, but for me, like, I don't have a social media manager. I'm like, I do everything personally. So everything that I post, everything I write, everything like that is coming directly from me, which, again, some people are going to go, oh, well, that's probably not a great use of your time. But at the same time, I like to be personable. I like to be able to, like, touch what I'm actually doing. If I'm just literally just sending it off to someone and they're posting it for me, like, is it really coming from me? Even if I send them something, is it really coming from me? Are they, like, editing it, all that kind of stuff? So I find it's super important, even though, like I said, it does take up a lot of my time, which, again, is fine. But I do find that I like doing it because, like I said, there is a personal touch on it, that I'm the one doing it. I'm the one sharing it with people. And, at the end of the day, I think that sets me apart from what other people are doing when they can just go either hire a social media manager or, go on to any website that does that kind of stuff and pay for it. And it just gets posted, and, AI might generate for you. And again, I'm not saying AI is bad, but, it's a lot of just stock images, and, there's not really a whole personalization behind it. Right. So I
It's
try to
not there
stick
yet.
away from that. No, I've tried to stick away from that as much as possible. Like I said, I do like I do set up, like, when I do my social posts, like, for example, the charity event, I have
Mhm.
like 15 posts like ready to go. So, like, on the day of, like, I have a calendar. It basically says, Kate, we're gonna post this. Here we go. We post it, but it's not like I'm physically, like, putting it into a system that's posting it for me. I just basically do it manually, which, again, some people are like, well, it's 2024. Like, you should probably get out of that system. But hey, like I said, I like it. It keeps a personal touch to it. And like I said, it's working for me. So if it's working for me, maybe in a few years, if I get too busy and I want to go that route, but I just don't ever really see myself going to that route where it's just automatic and just sent out. And like I said, I'm not touching it. I don't want everyone to get to that point.
Oh, absolutely. And you bring up a good point too. Like, I mean, the people that say that you're spending too much time on it, I mean, realistically, what's an extra 15, 20 minutes to put out a piece of quality content that will actually be more personable to someone rather than just a standard stock photo from AI that gets posted to 12 other people's Instagrams, right?
Exactly.
Like it's the 15 minutes you spend on that may not have a direct effect immediately, but that delayed response over time is really going to compound. And that's something that, it's missed by a lot of people in both of our industries.
I always like to say Rome wasn't built in a day. And I know it's like such a corny little like catchphrase, but like it's so true, right? Like it's not, again, like you might be that lucky person on social media that like you throw one thing out there, it goes viral, and then like you just blow up, right? But again, like that's not really the realistic route of the world right now. It's like you have to post and post and post. Like if you look at any kind of social media person, again, there's some like outside the box people that just hit it off after one post, but most people you talk to, like YouTuber, people that stream on Twitch, like Instagram people, like it takes years to get to that point because they're consistently posting, and then the algorithm picks that up, and then finally they blow up, and then all their stuff picks up in the algorithm, and then it's literally just gold from there, realistically.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, the one that says it the best is Alex Hermosi, or who's saying it the loudest, I guess, right now.
Yep.
As we know, I'm sure everyone who listens to this podcast will know who Alex Hermosi is. That's not a random guy, but he started posting content 5-7 years ago, and no one was listening, and finally he got his social media just took off. Right.
Yep.
I think it was tail end of COVID, beginning of COVID, middle COVID, somewhere in there. It just took off. And, he says all the time in any social post he has, he's like, it takes 5 to 7 years to actually build it up so that it will launch. Right. And that delayed gratification is something that I think is lacking nowadays, especially with social media. Like I'm even guilty of it, to be completely honest. Like I want a response right away. I want to know, I want to move things forward, go. But the reality is, that delayed response, or that delayed, that 15 minutes that you can spend thinking about the email that you're going to respond to will make the email sound 100 times better than if you just responded right away. Right.
Exactly.
And the results that you're putting in your first couple of years of anything, it's going to suck. You're going to work your butt off. You're going to work harder than probably 95% of people that you work with, but the delayed result of that 5, 6, 10 years down the line is something that's going to compound. That'll separate you from the crowd exponentially, which is awesome.
And realistically, like if you really think about it, like what's the extra 15 minutes after work, right? Like what are you really doing after work? You're going to watch Netflix, you're going to play video games, like you're going to go play around in golf, right? Like what is the extra 15, 20 minutes that it takes to do that, right? It's one episode of Netflix, if I need to suck, and I'm not a big TV guy. I do not watch TV unless it's sports. Like that TV ain't on. I'm telling you, like it's just there to be there realistically. But like for me, like
I've gotten off Netflix even like once they got rid of Friends. I'm sorry, that was like the only thing holding me into Netflix.
Red flag, right? Red flag.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm sure there's great shows, but I don't know. That's just not my deal.
You'd rather spend your time at the golf course, right?
100%. When the weather's nice. I mean, I don't want to golf in the snow, but yeah. I mean, I love getting out as much as possible in the summertime. It's something that I take clients out, and
you showed off to a client the other week. You were telling me.
Yeah. All right. So I'm not a great golfer. I'm putting that out there just as a starting. I'm a very average golfer, but it's just so happened that I went out and played with a client who were selling their condo, and they're a wonderful guy. He's like, yeah, let's go golfing. It'll be great. We headed to the Cutton Club in Guelph, and I'm not a member at Cutton. I think I golfed 3 times last year at Cutton, and I ended up shooting 4 over par, which to non-golfers, it means basically nothing, but to golfers, it's actually it's a pretty good score. And the client I was golfing with made a joke. He's like, I think if you worked as much as you golfed, I think you'd be more successful. And I was like, I don't golf at all. This is not good.
This is like beginner's luck almost, right?
Oh, 100%. It was my first round out of the year. So I already know that the golf gods have started up here, and
Yeah,
it's just going
it just goes
down for
downhill
the
from
rest
there.
of the year.
Yep.
But you golf quite a bit too, and I know we were chatting about getting out a couple times this year. So yeah, I mean, you went out last weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a nice little birthday trip up in Peterborough this weekend that we actually went up and we had a big group of us, and it was great. If you guys never checked it out, I would definitely recommend checking out Belmere Winds in Peterborough. It was, again, fantastic. Like, the accommodations were great, the staff were amazing. The course was for middle of May, especially farther north into Ontario, where I was shocked of like how everything was pristinely cut. Like, the greens were like perfect. Like, it was amazing weekend. So I would highly recommend Belmere Winds if you guys are ever in the Peterborough area. Definitely a must try if you guys are in that area.
Oh,
So
100%.
highly recommend.
After hearing like your experience with it, I was like, I gotta book it. I gotta figure it out. So
It's
that'll
right
be
on Rice Lake. It's like down like it, so it sits on the hill and it's played like along the hillside, and it's just, I will say there's a lot of elevation changes. So if elevation's not a thing that you excel with, it might not be a place for you. But like looking into the lake, like having that backdrop, and then like when you look back up the hill, it's just like it literally looks like a mountain because it's just all like just greens and stuff. It was, again, for the price point, honestly, like I would pay double what I paid to be there. Like like I said, the accommodations were fantastic. They were like trailers, but they were like 3-bedroom trailers. Like, it was like so new. Like, it was so nice. Like, barbecue, huge porch, like sliding glass doors, like basically that you could just walk out, like boom, you're right there. Like, it was, again, it was such a great time. Like, I would highly recommend it to anyone that's in that area because it was bang for your buck. Like I said, I would pay double to play there again. Like, it was that nice.
wow. Yeah, that's saying something because golf is not cheap.
No, it's not.
But no,
It's
that's
not.
awesome. Yeah, I definitely have to check that out then because
Yes, you
I know
do.
after we chatted about it, it's definitely gonna be a course. It'll be on my list. It's crazy how many like good quality courses we have around here, and then in the wintertime we just forget they exist. Like
Yeah.
we're just like we'll go anywhere else in the world in the wintertime, and as soon as like summer comes, we're like, oh, like you got Deerhurst, you got anywhere, you got Whistlebear, like let's Hamilton, let's go everywhere. Just
Yeah.
stay here.
Nope. It's like I said, there's so many courses, and there's so many courses I still want to try and hopefully to get out and try this summer. So I'm pumped up. Like, again, the a guest I've had on the show before from Wayne Pittman Ford in Guelph, like he's dying to get me to Cutton as well. So I want to play it so bad because, again, he's talked so highly of it. You've talked so highly of it. Steve's actually talked highly of it. So I'm
Wow.
uh I'm looking forward to, if I get the chance to, I'll definitely I want to get out to Cutton for sure. So
Oh, it's awesome, and they're constantly doing things. Like that's what's crazy. Like I'm not a member. I was a couple of years back, but I'm not currently. But they just redid all the back nine greens too, and I gotta say they are crazy. They're like 40 feet long. Like the way that the ball moves on those greens is pretty close to pro level. Like it's that good of a course. And even I was there last week, they're redoing some of the tee boxes. Like they're constantly improving things, and it's awesome to see.
which is good for
Yeah.
a golf course because some might just sit back and not do anything and just, let the course, they might not put any work in for a few years, right? Like, I know some courses, they just don't put the work in, right? But like I said, in the few years that I've been in the Guelph area, like Cutton's always doing stuff, and it's nice to see that. And a lot of people have actually made the argument. It's like, oh, well, you've made the greens so big, and it's like, well, my buddy from Wayne Pittman was saying, well, yes, the greens are big, but like the movement on them is insane. So like, yes, they're big, but like you have to be good at putting because if not, like you're just gonna roll right off them.
Oh yeah.
So
And the person that says that the greens are too big also doesn't tell
doesn't
you
hit
that,
them.
well, no, yeah, it doesn't hit them, but also doesn't say that, the hole's like 550 yards. Like
Yeah.
you're you're still getting a big green, but you're getting a lot of open space. And it's crazy that when you're playing at Cutton, like you don't feel like you're almost right downtown Guelph.
Yep.
Like it's not outside of Guelph. It's like right in the heart of it, and you don't feel like it at all.
Nope.
Yeah, you get some occasional road noise when you get to some of the holes, but majority of the time you don't even remember that you're down, like almost downtown.
Exactly. Yep. I've like, even like I said, when I first came to Guelph, I was like, I was looking and I'm like, how could there be a golf course there? Like, there's like no room. Like, if you look on it from a map perspective, I'm like looking at my phone. I'm like, there's no way there's a golf course there. But hey, there is. There definitely is.
Hard to believe, but you can do it.
Yep.
Another course that's going to have to put in a lot of work this year is Hamilton too, right? Because they're doing the Canadian Open this year.
Yep. The Canadian Open is at the end of the month. They're a pristine course. Like that course has held the Canadian Open numerous times. Even like I think 2 or 3 years ago we had it. Florida Georgia Line was there before they broke up. They headlined
I was
it,
there.
but yeah, like that course is pristine. Like it's beyond. If I ever get the chance to play there too, I'd be honored to play there. Like it's very, very expensive to get in there. So I have a friend actually that one of his family members lives on the golf course. So we might end up spending a day at her place when the Open is on. So we'll get to see some of the big stars, because it actually already looks like there's going to be a big field of, top players going. It looks like already, like Rory is going, Fleetwood's going, obviously Nick Taylor, last year's winner, is going. Tons of great players are going, so I definitely want to get out. And if I can get out to my buddy's family's place, then great, because she's right on the green number 2 actually, so it's perfect.
Okay. Yeah. You can't get asked for anything better than that. I mean,
exactly.
You probably could ask for the bowl. The bowl's pretty sweet on the 18th hole.
Oh yeah. Or the rink, they call it. The rink on 16, I think they have it on this year. So I've heard that's super fun. It's kind of like the Waste Management Open on 16, where it's like the big like grandstands.
Yeah.
But it's like a hockey rink. So I think it's on 16 as well, the Canadian Open. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how it plays out, because the weekend after we're in Muskoka and we're going to be playing golf up there again. So I don't know if we're going to do back-to-back golf weekends if the wife lets us or not. So we'll let's cross our fingers and see how that plays out.
It's her decision at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like Hamilton, you're absolutely right. It's one of the nicest courses to walk on. Like I was there at the Canadian Open a couple of years ago when Florida Georgia Line and everything was there. It was great. It was honestly, it was an experience to get to be, walk the course, even, meet some of the players too. Like it was something that I didn't think I could ever experience. And it was something that was awesome. Like even the concert, I mean, the green was destroyed. The hole that 100%. They did the concert on, destroyed completely. They had to spend 6 months.
They redo it. Yeah, they redo it after. So
I am curious this year. What they do this year.
Yeah, I think this year they changed it where it's not on the green anymore. They've made like an area for it. So I guess we'll have to see in a few weeks from now how that all plays out. But I know that was a big mistake that they made last time too, and they don't want to do that again. So we'll have to see at the end of the month how that plays out.
Exciting. Are you do you know who's playing? Like who's the concert that they're doing?
Right now, like the big person is Josh Ross, if you're a country fan. The other people I sort of know, but they're like I don't as well. But like the person I'm excited for would be Josh Ross, because he's also Canadian too. So up and coming country singer. So
yeah, that's pretty sweet.
There's going to be. I think they're waiting to kind of. I think there's another headliner on the Sunday, but they haven't announced it yet. So we'll have to see. Maybe like a Nickelback or something. Who knows?
that'd be fun, because I know. Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago they had the rec laws, because remember the rec laws came out of Kitchener, I think. So they no, definitely not Kitchener. I'm so wrong there. Don't quote me on that.
No, they're from Alberta, I think.
Okay, but still Canadian.
Yeah.
And I remember they came on stage and everyone was kind of like, who are these people? But then as soon as it was done, like it was like they just popped off completely. Now they're the rec laws, obviously, but. Yeah, it was.
That was a few years ago. I remember that. That was like when they were still kind of building up their popularity. I think now they did that, like it would be crazy. So.
Oh yeah, no, it would be insane. I feel so bad for some of those houses that back onto the golf course when the concert goes on. The crowds of people.
It's only 1 weekend a year, and realistically, like I said, you might not they might not host it for another 10, 15 years after this, right? Who knows, right? They kind of have to start pushing it in different areas of the country. They can't always just have it in Hamilton. So I know
Yeah.
this year they were wanting to do Quebec, but because Quebec's doing the President's Cup this year, they couldn't do it in Quebec. So I think next year, it's
Mhm.
Alberta or BC next year, and then it goes out east, and then I don't know what's going to happen after that. So we'll have to
See, that would be
see.
fun. Could do like get the guys together, do a golf trip, and go see the Canadian Open in like BC or Alberta. Like that sounds way better than
Oh
Hamilton.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't
oh
know.
yeah. Again,
And
Hamilton's great, but again, I'm from there, so it's not like it's like for me, it's just any other town realistically.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
but
exactly,
again,
right?
people that are from those towns that are hosting too, they'll probably say the exact same thing.
Yeah, they're like, why are people coming to this? And
Yeah.
you and I are coming in droves of people, just like we're coming.
But I wanted to kind of switch things up. I kind of wanted to ask you, obviously your time in real estate obviously has seen a massive change in the last 5 years, just because this pandemic that we've had, massive market shifts, just like insurance. But kind of, what are you seeing right now? Like, we've kind of went through that little bit of a tough market where, your industry is really impacted by obviously mortgage rates right now. And
Mhm.
I feel like either people are on the fence about buying, they see, mainstream media saying, oh, it's going to go down, it's going to go down. Any of the mortgage people that I talk to directly are like, that's not happening in June. If you actually look at the stats, there's probably not even going to happen until fall time.
Mhm.
But yeah, like, kind of what's 2024 been like so far? And again, I can't believe to say this, but we're almost halfway through it.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. Number one,
Yeah.
I thought it was January 1st until like I mean, I still thought it was January until I saw there was no snow and it was 21
Yeah.
degrees. And I was like, that's not good. But honestly, the market right now, it is slower. I can't sugarcoat it. I'm not the type of person to sugarcoat information, especially to my clients. But the probability of there being a rate cut before fall is pretty much not zero.
Yeah.
Um, so what it's hard because everyone's situation is a bit different, right? So if you're a buyer right now, depending on what your situation is, can dictate what's the best approach, right? Because there's a million and one ways to do something. If you're just someone that's looking to downsize as a seller, even, um, it might be more beneficial to wait for the rate drop, right? If you're not in any rush to move and you're selling to downsize, it might be best to prepare your house for the market, right? And preparing could be as simple as getting a home inspection. Like finding a realtor can take. Some people do it in a week, but some people do it in a couple months, right? If it's something that you're wanting to do in the future, it could be a good idea to one, interview a couple agents, and then when you find the agent that works for you, slowly start to prepare your house for market. And that can mean anything from doing a home inspection and fixing up little repairs, painting, fixing that bathroom tap that drips that you've neglected for 5 years. Like just getting the little things kind of cleaned up. Because if you can prepare yourself for that rate drop, as soon as it happens and you go live, you're already a step ahead of half of the other sellers that are trying to figure it out now, right? Because they're just going to be reactionary while you're being proactive to the approach. Now, flip flop to buyer side. If you're a buyer right now, you have a lot more opportunity to snag maybe a better deal for yourself, right? Because yeah, prices have come down slightly. Actually, April was our average sale price in April in Guelph was 798, I believe, and the 5-year average is 794. So we're about $4,000 higher than we were compared to the 5-year average, but it's still lower than those COVID numbers. Those COVID numbers were a million peak COVID, right? So
Outrageous.
insane, insane, um, crazy that the real estate was like that. But as a buyer, you have, what's on market is sitting a bit longer. There are some obviously houses that are going a little quicker, the ones that can be converted into duplexes, triplexes, anything that can provide a little bit of a mortgage help, those go pretty quick. But as far as like an average house or a condo or townhouse, those tend to sit a little bit longer. And I'm not saying they're going to sit for 6 months. I'm saying that we went from that 4 to 7 day window peak COVID to maybe 15 to 30, right?
Yeah.
We're slowly getting back to where we were before, just with a bit of a higher price point. Because we're not, unfortunately, as much as I wish we could get back down to, 500K for a townhouse in Guelph. I don't think that's happening anytime soon, unless you're buying in certain areas. Obviously, every area of Guelph is going to be different, but like South End, Guelph, 500K is probably not getting you a townhouse. But as a buyer, if you have a lot of opportunity, you can take your time. You can offer something that's not only a quality offer to a seller, but you're also able to negotiate things as well a little bit more aggressively than you could, right? Because if the rate drop happens, what we're gonna see is there's gonna be a lot of houses go up, and there's gonna be an influx of buyers coming to the market, because all these buyers that are on the sidelines that have been waiting patiently, for that first cut. As soon as that first cut comes, we're gonna see a wave of people coming into the market. And what's going to happen is bidding wars are going to start again, which is not good. And, pricing is going to go out of control. Like, buyers aren't going to be able to, keep up. And that's something that we can't fall back into again. Like, I know we're trying I would say we, but I know, the Fed is trying to regulate it so that we don't have that massive rush of people coming to the market again, but we're going to see it. Unfortunately, what we're seeing right now is that there's not enough houses to meet demand, and the plans that they have in place, they basically have to build Toronto in 6 years. Like, they're falling short
on a lot of things that they're trying to do. And again, like I understand, like again, like I'm gonna go back to my corny little thing. Rome wasn't built in a day, but unfortunately in this case, like Rome needs to be built in a day here. Like we need to get more houses on the market. People need places to live, and it's, where do you build these houses? Like, there needs to be land for it. We need to have people that actually want to build, and we need to have those materials, right? And I actually, the funny thing is that you said everyone has a different kind of situation, and that's so true, because one of my mortgage people literally posted a thing recently, and it was like, okay, let's say we get a quarter point cut, right? Let's say come June they cut a quarter point. Okay, from I think it was a $6,000 or $7,000 home, the price difference in your monthly mortgage is $35. It is nothing, and people are like on the fence waiting for this to happen. And like, the realistic term is like, unless it's going to get cut in half, which is never happening ever.
Oh no!
If it gets, and like I said, even a quarter point is going to be generous, which I also don't think is happening. Which, again, I'm not a mortgage broker, and I'm not a a financialist. So if you want those expert opinions, obviously go talk to your mortgage broker. But even a quarter point
don't take anything I say as actual straight fact.
Yes. But even from a quarter point perspective, like, it's only saving you $35 a month. Like, that's nothing. Like, realistically,
that's 2 Starbucks, by the way. That's 2 Starbucks coffees.
I don't know, the way the wife orders, it might not even be 2. So, but
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
It's not enough to warrant that wait, realistically, because that's also predicting that with that quarter point drop, that home prices are also not going to go up, because if they go up, well, that quarter point drop is really going to be offset by the amount that your price of your home is now increasing. So
exactly, like, your home, you drop say you drop a quarter point, right? Influx of buyers comes into the market. Now your house is worth even 50 grand more. Okay, that $35 gets lost immediately.
That's gone. And now you're spending actually more. You're spending more on a monthly mortgage when you thought the rate cut was actually going to help you, but because of the home prices now going up, might as well wash that away.
Exactly. And that's why, like, every situation is different, but if you're a buyer that's truly trying to break into the market, fine. Whatever your budget is, you may have to live a little bit outside of the city. You may have to be in something a little smaller or a little bit more dated. But right now, where the market's at, you can negotiate. You can do the home inspections. You can do the financing conditions. You can make sure that it is laid out, status certificate reviews, depending on if it's a condo or not. But you can do and build an actual agreement of purchase and sale that benefits you as a buyer. You like when the influx comes in and the wave of buyers come in, I can tell you that sellers, they're going to look for three things: biggest price, fastest close, and no conditions. Those are
And you
three
probably know
things
more
that.
information about this. But remember during
Mhm.
COVID, like everyone was like every realtor that I knew during COVID, like everything was closing, no conditions, 30 days, like done. Like, and
Yep.
like it was the fastest thing because they didn't want to get into a bidding war during COVID.
Oh,
And
absolutely. And as much as I never recommend my clients going in firm on a deal, because you never know what's going to happen, right? You can tell certain people till you're blue in the face, don't buy a new car, don't co-sign. The biggest thing is co-signing, right? Like, yeah, well, I didn't buy a car, but I co-signed for my daughter's car. Well, that affected the whole thing, right? Like
yeah,
you have to make sure that as an agent, that my clients are protected. And during that COVID time, it was so scary with watching and having clients go, yeah, we just have to go firm. And I'm like, it was difficult. It was very, very difficult. And I was very happy when we got out of that, because now we can actually properly protect our clients and protect, people, because, I don't want anyone that I work with that, heaven forbid, I don't want them to walk into a house and go, yeah, a day after we moved in, the furnace broke completely, or the furnace broke 3 weeks ago, but we're firm, so we can't do anything about it, right? Like,
yep.
it's a scary thing, and I'm glad that we're kind of out of that, to be honest.
Well, I remember during COVID too, like you would hear on the radio and stuff, and like any realtor that I followed on social media, like homes were going 100, 150, $200,000 over asking, right? And it's just like, whoa, like what's going on here, right? So I think that's kind of, I don't really see that in the last, I would even say in the last 6 months since 2024 started. I haven't seen that personally from any of the realtors that I follow or anything like that, or even on the radio. I definitely don't hear that anymore. Um, so I think it's an interesting how we've kind of, again, how the market's definitely, changed over even the last 6 months, 12 months, 3 years. It's been just a crazy roller coaster ride that is we've all kind of been on. And, I almost feel for people that during the COVID times where they bought the house for $200,000-300,000 over, and now it's not worth that, but your mortgage is that high, and it's just like that's a slippery slope to kind of to get yourself into.
Oh, absolutely. And like, I'll tell you a little story. Like, my first listing ever, or not my first listing, but one of my first listings was during that insane COVID spike, right? And it was a townhouse in Cambridge. Townhouse, Hespeler, Cambridge, and we listed at what I thought was already a pretty high price. We had 6 offers within 3 days of being listed, and it
Wow.
sold for over 300K what we originally listed at. Like, it was
Wow.
baffling to me to see that. My clients were ecstatic, and I was kind of like, is this even going to be possible to close, right? Because if the appraisal comes in less than what they purchased it for, the buyers have to pay the difference. And a lot of buyers
Yep.
during that time didn't understand that could happen, right? Like, I'd have to explain it to all my buyers and be like, hey, like, just so you know, if the appraisal comes back, or they have to do an appraisal on this, and it comes in, 30 grand less than what we went in for, you have to pay the difference. And they didn't really, they were like, oh, what? I didn't know that. I'm like, it's something that has to happen. So during those times with COVID, I was like, man, I really hope that these people like are getting the appraisals that they want. Like, geez. And even now, one of my most recent listings, actually, we priced it very, very different. Obviously, different market, different strategy for listing. And every house is going to have a different strategy because there's different demographics looking at every house, right?
Yep.
We still got a great price on the house. We got over asking for the house, which is awesome. It wasn't 200, 300 grand over, which is great, but it was still, it was weird because it was a firm deal. I haven't, in 2024, I have yet to see a firm, unconditional 30-day close deal. And that's what we got, which was something that I was like, oh,
Wow.
this is something I haven't seen in a couple of years. But I mean, it's all up to the clients at the end of the day, right? We can
Yep.
recommend, until we're blue in the face. At the end of the day, it's their decision to make that choice, right?
Exactly. And I say the same thing with my clients. I can sit there, I can educate, but at the end of the day, it's the consumer's decision, right? Like I can only give my professional advice as much as I possibly can until you have to make a decision. I'm not the one, picking your hand up and signing the dotted line at the end of the day. You have to do that yourself. So I think, again, educating people is super important, but there is a point where it's just like, consumers have to make that decision for themselves. And, sometimes it's great decision and they listen to everyone's advice. And other times it's like the advice went in one ear and out the other ear. So
Yeah. And we try to, like, at the Zahnd team here, we even try to, like, we eliminate all the questions. So we have like systems in place that, like, we can show you your monthly breakdown. We could make it like as specific as you want. And I call it our living spreadsheet because we can go into any house and we can build out this exact model around that house so you can see exactly what you're going to be paying within reason, right? Like, obviously there's going to be, no one knows the exact price of gas on a house per month based on your usage, right? Because your usage is going to be different than my usage. That's just
yep.
what it is, right? So within a reasonable amount, we can help build an environment for our clients that where they hit their goals when they want to. They can find the price that they are comfortable with, and monthly payment wise are comfortable with too, because it's great that, you can talk to someone and be like, yeah, I want to buy something for 700 grand. I'm like, okay, but do you know what the monthly breakdown is of that? And they go, well, I don't want to pay more than like $2,500 a month. I'm like, okay, then we can't then we have to adjust some things here. You're gonna have to either get a bigger down
The
payment.
math ain't mathing, right?
Yeah, the math ain't mathing in this situation, right? Like, we have to think about it. And it's great you got a pre-approval, but pre-approvals will change based on property taxes and condo fees, and we have to make sure that all of that's built in so that you're not getting into something that you can't afford, or that you're stressed. You don't want to stress to live, right? Like, so that's something we
House
try and
poor is what
do.
I like to call it.
Yeah, house poor. Yeah, there's it'll be
It's great.
interesting to
It's
see.
awesome to probably own a home.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to probably own a home, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to stretch myself so much where I'm literally just sitting in my house and I can't go anywhere because I have no money to even go down the road and pick up my wife's Starbucks because we are literally pulling all of our money into a monthly mortgage that we probably shouldn't have done in the first place because we stretch ourselves and now we are what I like to call house poor. And
Yep.
there's a lot of other poors too. There's car poor. I see, especially in my world, I see a lot of people make those decisions, especially with the rates now. Like some new cars are still 8%, right? And they're like, I need to have this, and I'm like, you don't. Like your car is perfectly fine. Like you can continue going with it unless it's like literally rusting and falling apart. It's just you want. There's a difference between want and need, and a lot of people don't know that differentiation.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
but again,
absolutely.
like
8%, eh?
there's
That's what cars are at right now? Jesus.
oh yeah, even used cars now are still 10% still. It's insane. Like
I'm
unless you
so
physically need to buy a car, like yeah, I just wouldn't. If you don't need to buy a car right now, I just wouldn't do it. It's just the rates right now. Unless, and again, there's differences. Like for example, Ford has Ford credit, so like they do it through in house. If you're using a bank right now, where they don't have like an internal like credit union that they use, it's going to be tough, right? Unless you're physically in an accident and need a vehicle or your car breaks down, I'm suggesting to people like just wait until things kind of smooth over a little bit more, the rates kind of go down and kind of, or you know what, there's been times too where because dealerships are struggling again because people are not buying cars, they are doing a lot more sales. And we've seen even from 3 years ago, cars were not on sale. Like you would on TV, like especially when you watch like hockey, for example, like every other commercial would be like, oh, like GM's 0% financing, Rams 0% financing. Now Like, and then 3 years ago, that was not happening. But now, like, it's back and happening because they're trying to sell vehicles again, and it's been difficult to sell vehicles. So now they try to do, promotions here and there. Before, promotions were just not happening because people were coming in. What's the sticker price? 80 grand. Perfect. Here it is. And they would
Yeah.
walk out the door. Now there's,
It's
again, kind of like what you were saying in the home market. There's a lot more, bargaining that can be done. And again, it's not how it was before where you can shave off a few thousand. You might be able to shave off 1,000 or two, but that was not like it was 3 years ago when basically whatever the sticker price said, it was probably actually inflated higher than what the sticker price was. Because I remember a lot of dealerships, because stock was not available, they were having to push up the price because there's so little inventory that people were paying over sticker price. Now that doesn't happen anymore. Again, the influx in the market.
it's crazy, and you're absolutely right. Like, man, I always was told, if you're gonna buy a car, you buy it at the end of the year, at the end of the month, like very end of
Yep.
December is when all the deals go on, because they're trying to clear out 2023 and they're trying to bring in 2024, or they're trying to take out 2024 and trying to bring in 2025. But yeah, I wish I knew more about when to buy cars and how to buy cars when I did buy mine. My most recent one. I mean, it's nothing fancy. It's a 2021 Jetta. I love it. It's one of the best vehicles I've ever owned. It's reliable. It's really nice to drive, honestly. And it's better on gas than a pickup truck. And that's what I had before.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Rub it on my face.
But I bought that car just completely cash. I was just like, I found it used. I went that day, I bought it. It was great. And then I realized afterwards that I could have just, done it differently to make more of my money, I guess I could say. But I mean, at the time,
You live and you learn, right?
oh, 100%. And I think everyone needs to do that. Same with credit cards. People need to learn how to use a credit card properly. And you don't know how to use a credit card properly unless you have one. So, at 18, my parents are like, here's your credit card, figure it out. And I got to admit, that credit card did not leave that drawer, my dresser drawer, until I was probably 21-ish, because I was so nervous, because I heard so many horror stories about
The
people's credit.
nightmares. Yep.
Oh, just nightmares. And I'm like, now being a little bit older and understanding credit better, I'm like, oh, it takes a lot to do that. You really just have to just put purchases on it and never look at it again.
Yeah.
For it to destroy your credit. So, but I mean,
Well, we're getting into the summer season,
yeah,
and I kind of wanted to ask this opinion of yours, is that obviously during COVID, a lot of secondary homes, cottages, and that kind of stuff were just absolutely taking a dumpster dive. Like, people were losing millions on some cottages. But now I'm reading here that because obviously the summers, like we had a very mild winter, like very, very mild, barely any snow. Temperatures were already in the 20s in March. I know there was like a week there was 20 and then would go back down and then back up. But like, we've had a very, very mild year so far. But
it sucks for
from
snowmobile.
your kind of, yeah,
It
my
sucks.
girlfriend's dad was not very happy. Let's
Yeah,
just say that. I think he got out
we
twice.
wasted. Oh yeah, we wasted so much money on trail passes and got nowhere. It sucked so much.
Yeah. Yeah. But in this world now, I'm seeing that because, the weather's been nice. Is it just because the weather's nice now the real estate market for cottages is heating up, or do you think we're kind of out of that slump where they took a massive dive and they're going to kind of rebound? Or is it literally just because summer's starting, people are kind of looking again and they're going to stay low, but they're just heating up because it's that season again?
Yeah, so I think it's just seasonality, to be honest with you. Right now, with the pain that people should probably be experiencing with their homes, right? Mortgage, you want to be as tight with your finances as possible, especially in a time like this, right? Because we never know what's going to happen, right? The Fed could come out in June and just say, you know what, we're going up again. They probably won't, but there's a chance of that happening, right? And I've talked to a lot of people that are concerned, like they're already like pressured for money, right? Like if your monthly expenses are low, keep them low. Don't take on any extra risk than what you already have, because the minute you take on more risk is the minute you become more susceptible to those downsides, right?
Yep.
And it's the spring market right now in real estate, right? We're spring slowly transitioning into summer. That's when we're going to see a lot of those cottages start to get listed, as well as in the fall too. We see
People
fall and
use them all
spring.
summer, and then
They'll use them all summer,
here,
fix them up,
I
and
want
then
them gone.
yeah, and then sell it, right? So I think just the seasonality of it right now is just there's a lot, like people are like, oh yeah, I am going to buy that cottage for our family because that's what we want to do. And if you have the extra money and you can buy the cottage outright or buy the cottage with a large enough percentage down to where it doesn't affect you guys like on your personal residence, go for it. I'm never going to say no to someone that wants to do something that they want to do. But I want anyone that even listens to the podcast, if you're considering a second residence, mitigate the risk as much as possible because you don't want to have to buy the cottage, have it for 6 months, have your family love it, and then you have to sell it because you just can't afford it. Right? Like
Yep.
that's the biggest concern with second resident.
That's a
second
heartbreaker.
Yeah. I've had a couple of those, and it's really sad because they'll buy it for family or for future generations, and then they just can't afford it because they couldn't mitigate the risk. But sorry, I got off track there. But yes, I think it's seasonality that that there's so many of them hitting because I think people just want to get out, or they're forced to sell because they couldn't mitigate the risk during COVID, right? I know during COVID, a drive to cottage, so there's drive to and then there's boat access, right? And boat access cottages are awesome if you like a little bit more privacy. Drive to are way more convenient and easier to transport everything. A drive to cottage up in the Port Severn area was like a beat up old cottage would be around like 1.2 million, right? Like
I remember the market did this, and then it just did, like it literally did a nosedive. And like I said, we're up in Muskoka a lot during the summer, and then like we would read like the real estate magazines up there, and it was like we saw this 6 months ago, and this was like 2.5, and now it's like 1.8, and it's like, oh, like they're taking a 700K hit on this. Like it was concerning. Like it was like there was a time where I was like, man, a lot of these people up here are really going to, like it's gonna hurt. Like it's gonna hurt badly if they have to sell these off and take massive hits on it just because they need the money, right? And it was concerning at one point. I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good.
No, and food for thought to think about. The ones that are coming to market now. Double check with whoever you use as a trusted advisor for anything. Double check. Make sure that double check that they didn't buy it in COVID because they could have. They could have bought it peak market, and now they need to sell it to get out, right? Like, maybe they didn't buy it during peak COVID, but they bought it and then realized that they don't want it, so they're selling it, right? Like, it's gonna be the next 6 months to a year, depending on what the Fed does, could be very scary, or could be very could be better, right? The scary side, I always lean more towards the worst case scenario. That's just the type of person I am. I like to mitigate my risk as much as possible, and that means I think about the worst case scenario with every situation. Especially with my clients, right? I'll tell you straight up if I don't think it's a good idea, but it could be a great idea. I've missed deals because of it, and I've lost a lot of opportunities because I've been like, hey, like you're probably not going to get the price for this. And most of the time I'm right, but sometimes I'm wrong, and bites me in the butt.
You have the outliers that you're wrong.
Yeah, 100%. But just food for thought. Like, I mean, they could have bought it peak COVID, and they have to sell because a lot of these people are secondary residences. They don't live up there full time, or they bought it to go full time or to live there full time, but then have now just figured out that cottage living is very, very different than living in like Guelph or even a neighboring city like Barrie, right? Like everything out there, you have to have it out there. and it takes time, and everything that you build out there, like if you want a new dock, if you want a new deck or foundation, like anything like that, it's going to take twice as long. It's going to cost 1.5 to 2 times as much. And it's just not the most practical thing you could possibly do. And
Yep.
I love it. I mean, our family has a cottage. It was, generational. It's completely paid off. It's great. It's not massive. It's a little shack with a couple bunkies, right? It's great. But I've seen like 10, 12 cottages come up around our area during COVID. They all sold, and now they're all coming back to market. So
Back
just,
on the market.
yeah.
Yep.
So just, thinking about that, if you are even looking at it, like if you're looking at it in a way as a buyer, if it could be a good opportunity, it could be. Make sure to get your history, make sure to get the geo done right, and add conditions in to make sure that you're protected. But if you're but yeah, I think overall, I think it's seasonality.
Just a
I don't think,
seasonal thing.
yeah, but keep it in the back of your mind that it could be someone that just can't afford to live there anymore. Because if that's the case,
Yep.
you could probably get a better
And
deal.
and like we said at the beginning, right? Everyone's situation is different. So, and you were saying if you can afford it, great. But like I said, there's always use your experts, and like that's the sign that I harp on a lot with every episode is that like ask your questions to your experts as much as possible. I don't think that we're gonna not answer you or we're like, oh, this person's calling me again. Like why? What's going on with this, right? Like we're here to help you through those times and to answer those questions. So don't think, oh, like I don't want to email this guy again. I don't want to call this guy because I've called him 3,000 times and we haven't done anything. Hey, like we'd rather have you be educated, make an educated decision on what you're going to do, regardless if it's insurance, if it's going to buy a home, it's going to buy a car, refinance your mortgage. Hey, even if you want to go buy a new phone, you should probably be asking yourself, hey, how much more is this going to cost me a month? And, do I really need this or do I want this? There's two different things in life, right? And like I said, in today's world where how the economy is, I think it's important to obviously, like you said, if you can keep your costs and your expenses as low as you possibly can right now until things kind of settle out a little bit more, great. But like I said, if you have the funds and the will to do something like that, I'm not going to tell you no, but I'm going to give you also my opinion on what I think is best based off your situation, right? And that's what my expert opinion and your expert opinion does for people.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Please just call us. We love talking. That's why we got in. The reason why James and I are in the jobs we're in is because we're passionate about it. And I could talk to anyone about real estate until I'm blue in the face. And as long as you're wanting to listen to me talk, great, 100%. The only one that listens to me talk is my dog, and that's it. She's stuck with me, and she doesn't speak English. So, but yeah, don't be afraid to call us. We're more than happy to always educate. And I love what you say there. Is it something we need, or is it something we want? Because that question, that if you ask yourself that, could pretty much answer everything for you.
Like, I want a new watch because when I golf, now my watch is so old and it doesn't use like the golf app anymore. I want one. Do I really need one just to use for golf? That's what I'm having a hard time with that. Is like, I don't really need it. I just want it. Can I afford it? 100,000% I can. But do I really need to make that purchase just to be like, honestly, I wear this watch literally just because of golf. That's literally why I bought the thing like 10 years ago, was for golf. And then I didn't golf, and then literally COVID hit, and then boom, like we're back into golfing. But I guess because it's so old now, like with Apple, you know how that all is. They stop updating it. They stop allowing it to take on updates, and then it basically you're forced to buy the next one. And that's what happened in March, is that now I'm forced to buy the next one because it's basically being told, oh, this one's too old to update now. So again, man, a want and a need.
I love Apple. I'm a big Apple guy, but they really make it, that want and need line, they make it pretty much invisible.
Oh, they blur that line.
Oh my God, man. I had to upgrade phones like they stopped updating my phone to a certain point. I'm like, I use this thing every day. Like I need it.
That line is so blurred with them.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
line is so blurred with them. It's not even, it almost doesn't even exist. It's literally just, it just boom. Like it's like the Canadian American border. You can cross at certain places and have no idea you crossed. And it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, perfect. I'm in the States now.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, but I have that struggle every day. Don't worry.
Oh man, I know. Do I need an Apple phone? No. Would any phone work well for our jobs? Yes, 100%. But did I want the Apple phone because I already have a MacBook and I like the ease of transferring things back and forth? Yes. 100%.
Yep. 100%.
Right? Like it's so easy. And we can sit here and preach to everyone on the internet, and this video could get 2 million views on it, and it could be, like, we're just telling you guys, hey, know your needs and your wants. But we do the same thing. And it's
Do I need
human
new golf clubs every year? No. But do I like looking at the new ones that come out every year? Yeah. Do I want
nature.
them? Yeah. But like I said, I have to stop myself. And the wife's like, we're not going to Golf Town anymore. We're not going there because you're going to spend money. And I'm like, no, I just go and look. And then we make a few putts and you're like, oh, I'm going to buy this putter because I'm so good with it. But like realistically, it's just like, it's the same old, right?
You're like, I have a $50 gift card. That means I can buy the $400 driver. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the $400 putter because it's basically free. I'm getting a $50 discount because I have this.
Exactly.
Boy math, right?
Yeah.
Boy math.
Hey, there's girl math, there's boy math, there's dog math, there's realtor math, and there's insurance math. There's everything.
Yep.
But no, man.
But kind of wrapping things up, like I said to you, I kind of like to leave things off with what your biggest point or takeaway would be from this episode. If you were going to kind of to give viewers one final, this is what I would really want to leave people with, what would your kind of point be for people?
Golf more, work less. No, I'm kidding. No, it would be lean on people that you trust in the spaces that you're not comfortable in. Because you may not be an expert in everything, but 100% someone who is a realtor, or even if you don't, don't be afraid to reach out to someone that you don't know and get an opinion on something, right? A good quality person and a good quality educator in the space that you're looking to get more information in will never say no to giving you information. They'll never say no to educating you. So lean on people that know different areas more than you do, because those people will teach you things that'll allow you to progress further along in your journey.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it.
Sweet. That was good.
I think mine would just be, I know we've used it so many times this episode, but weigh out your wants and your needs, because at the end of the day, like I said, and you said it great too, if you can keep your expenses low at this time, that is super important. Do you need to go add another car? Do I need to go buy a boat? Do I need to go buy a cottage? Again, I might want those things. Do I need them? Can I afford them is another question too, right? So I think weighing those options, and again, kind of piggybacking off what you said, use your experts when you're weighing those options, right? Ask your realtor, ask your mortgage person, ask, whoever you buy your car from or whoever you deal with your insurance. Like, hey, like, what is this going to cost me if I actually do this? Like, can I afford this? Go to your financial advisor and say, hey, you know what? Do we have the money to do this? Like, or am I just basically putting the bare minimum down and then financing the rest of it? And then my finance cost is going to be basically a third of what it's actually going to cost me, right? Again, everyone's situation is going to be different, but if you're asking your experts and getting their personal opinion and professional opinion, because again, what my opinion might be on something, and what another insurance broker's opinion is going to be on the same topic is probably going to be different. Mm-hmm. But again, ask your experts and get their opinion on things, and then make your decision from there. If you're better educated and making better educated decisions with that education, I think that goes a long way than just going in blind and going, I'm going to do this because I want to do this, right? It's not like you have no background and no, I like to say you have no foundation to stand on when you're going in blind like that. So use your resources as much as you possibly can. And like I said, reach out to the people that you trust and work with, and, use them and lean on them, like you said, because at the end of the day, if you're going in blind on something, you're probably going in with a lot less education than you should, and your odds of making a poor decision are definitely increased if you're doing that kind of stuff. So lean on people, and I think that will go a long way, especially in today's world where a lot of things are not really stable right now. But we're hoping to get there, baby steps right now.
It's gonna take time, but measure your needs and wants. James said it best. And hey guys,
I want a new watch, but do I?
Yeah, exactly. James said it best, guys.
I want a new watch, but
and I lean on James just so that everyone knows. James and I have had multiple chats about insurance and stuff, and you know what? I recommend him to everyone. And that's not just because he's having me on the podcast. I've had those conversations with James long before he ever reached out about.
Did you get my $100 bill I sent you today?
Yeah, no.
To say that?
Didn't e-transfer. Remember, it's blockchain. It's all crypto.
Yeah.
All crypto.
Oh, okay. Well, no,
Man.
I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, it takes time out of your day to obviously have these conversations and, giving this, what we like to call education out to people in a very, different way, especially for insurance. And I know there is a lot of real estate podcasts, but for insurance side of things, like honestly, there isn't. So I appreciate you coming on, sharing your thoughts, and I hope someone can, even if one person kind of learns from you and goes, you know what, I never thought about that. I'm going to call Roland and, have a little bit more of a discussion for it. Definitely open up to it. So do you kind of want to leave the viewers with one last plug for you?
Yeah, sure, man. Thank you very much. Yeah. You can find me at the Hallmark Realtor on Instagram, and I'm on everything. So, feel free to reach out. I'm on my own website too. So yeah, just search up my name and I'll pop up. It's pretty easy. There's not many people that have my name, so it's nice.
Yep. But again, thank you for coming on for this episode. Again, I really appreciate your time, and thanks everyone for tuning in to the Maze episode of the Broker Breakdown.